Hey guys, Underground Geek here. And if you'll notice something, I'm hanging out with Brooklyn and Lexington, but I'm not talking about horror comics. What's going on? So basically, what has happened is there's been a series of books that come out, and it had me very confused. Like, look at these two comics and tell me what's different about them. This comic series come out first, and now this one has come out. And there wasn't really anything telling me that anything was different, so I actually thought that these were like a reprint of this series. But they're not. If you'll notice something, this says Batman in the Shadow, and this says The Shadow Batman. This says DC and Dynamite. This says Dynamite and DC. Oh, okay. So then we even got different writers. There's Snyder and Steve Orlando. And if you'll notice, this cover here is actually an Ethan Van Sciver cover. I really like that guy. He's a really nice guy. And he's good, too. Look at the artwork. Pretty cool, huh? I actually like this cover better. But, you know, to each his own. I still think this cover's cool. I just like this one better. Whatevs. But, so, there's a problem here. This series is good. This first issue is not so much. I think the problem is this one probably should have come out first and then this one, because I can tell already that Scott Snyder is a lot better than this person. That's nothing against them. It's still pretty good. It's just that since this one come out, it kind of ruined it for me. So basically what happened on this one is Batman is trying to find Deckard, which was an old teacher of his, which was an alias of Ra's al Ghul sometimes in different stories. But in this series, he's actually the Shadow. And Batman doesn't know that. And he's been watching everything behind the scenes this whole time. It's very cool. Batman's got like an old style costume with the short ears. Let's see if I can find a good picture of him. There he is in disguise. There's the Shadow. Pretty cool story. But he ends up kind of fighting with the Shadow, and then later teams up with him. Holler at me if you're watching iZombie. I really like that show. But yeah, see the suit, pretty cool, huh? But anyway, this was like a 5 or 6 issue run, and they quit it. Yeah, of 6, and then they quit it, and then this immediately followed it. And I was confused because I didn't know. I thought it was the same thing. So this story is written by Steve Orlando. The artist is Giovanni Tipano, and the colorist is Silvio Dispenza, which is completely different. And this cover is, where's his name? Yeah, this cover is by Ethan Van Sciver. So basically, this story is about some people called the Silent Seven. And so we start out here with Professor Pig. Hey, look at there. Professor Pig's actually going to be showing up on the Gotham TV show. But he shows up, starts attacking this New Year's Eve party, and starts getting all of his cronies to try to put the mask on people and turn them into pigs. And then Batman shows up. Kapow! He starts attacking, fighting, everybody's fighting. And then Robin shows up. This is New York City, and Robin's actually been patrolling this all by himself. And Batman's not happy about that. He shows up and fights Professor Pig. So then we get a cool scene here where Robin is like jumping around and pretty much whooping every one of the pig guys. And then Batman's trying to fight Professor Pig. Pretty much it's a one-sided fight. He just takes his kneecap out and that's it. So then Pig is actually telling him that someone had been brainwashing his people for him, and he took control back of them because they were showing up. So somebody is messing with the system here. And he says, from the Silent Seven. And Batman doesn't know who they are. So then we cut to a different scene, And this is actually the Shadow, and his long life companion, Margot, has died. If you remember the Shadow, you know who Margot is. If you don't, then watch the movie The Shadow, and I'll pretty much tell you everything about it. It's a pretty good movie. I liked it. And then there's Professor Pig. He's all locked up, and he's bantering back and forth with the police when all of a sudden the police stop talking. Something happens to him, and everyone's just kind of going on their own without paying attention to Professor Pig. And then he says, "Do not worry, Laszlo Valentine. The Shadow will speak with you." And then he shows up. You see him kind of creep up out of the shadow. Grabs a hold of him. Starts trying to find out what's going on. He says, "Gotham is your world. What I want to know why you're selling New York City. You're already squeezing out of my ears. Maybe have a look for yourself. Read my mind." And that's when he sees what's going on, and actually frightens him so bad. It actually frightens the Shadow. And the Shadow has to run away. Which I didn't really like that, because the Shadow's not afraid of anything. So then we get this shot of Batman, and I wondered if it was Batman or Frankenstein. Look how they drew him. Flat top head, awkward looking. And he's talking about Robin and how he hasn't been there for him, and he feels bad because he feels like a bad father, and he is. So then we get a picture of the Batcave here. It's okay. I really like all the different Batmobiles. I like how they got the Batpod in there. They've got the Brave and Bold Batmobile. They have the original Batmobile. They have the animated series one. They have a couple other ones kind of thrown in there. That looks like the original one. You gotta have the T-Rex. And I think that's Batwing. And then there's the Batboat. But he's running a search now to find out who the Silent Seven is. And look how they drew his face. Lord mercy. Have you ever seen a more unattractive Batman? Whew, that's rough. Then we cut to this weird advertisement. I don't know what's going on here. Barbarella. Kind of cool. And then we cut back to Batman, and look, they gave Batman a double chin. What the crap, guys? Learn how to draw. But anyway, so then they show him his guy's suit on. He's going to investigate what's been going on with the Silent Seven. And then we cut to a different scene here where he's found Robin. Robin has a secret headquarters locked away. It says, "A hidden room on a hidden floor in theory." I mean, he's way down in there. He says, "I'm 13, Father. I know you're there." And then he says, "Damien." He says, "You know my name, Grandfather. Was right. You truly are the world's greatest detective." I was like, that's amazing. You're such a jerk. It's awesome. He says, "So that lofty gold cast on the rocks. You're here. You found me. What do you want?" He says, talk to you. You're working in New York alone. Your mastery of the obvious is well honed, Father. Without me, you'd have been trampled by an army of doll soldiers instead of glowering over a sea of useless puppets paralyzed by a simple nerve strike. Mother taught me that one. So they go there talking back and forth. Says, "This has to stop." And something's different about Batman. Look at him. Something's up. He says, "It has to stop. I'm sure. And how did you find me? I do not need to explain myself to you. Don't you? Tracer dart. My uniform can resist the slightest change, or register slightest change in tension across its surface. Try again." That couldn't happen. That's not a real thing. But then it says, "Absurd. I've upgraded my mask with halt tech. Cameras cannot see me. Try again. I followed you." There it is. The simplest answer is the best, right? So basically we're talking back and forth. I don't know what's going on here. Something's going on with the circuitry. Something's happening. But it says, "Like octopus arms, an organism with semi-independent limbs, a brain gives a general command, but doesn't completely govern how the limb carries it out. But trust me, there is a brain and I will find out. Impressive. Someone could call the police." So basically, they're talking here. He says, "You're out of your depth. They've said that since I was 7. You're boring me." He said, "You can't talk to me like that." They said that too. And he says, "Shut up." And he throws him up against the wall. And then that's when we know something's wrong, because he would never do that to his son. And then he easily knocks him down. So something's going on here. And that's when he says, "I know you think you're smarter than me, Dad, but there's one thing. I'm not the one holding a bat grenade." He says, "What? No." And then he blows up. And it says, "Next, Park Avenue, Patricide." So we know something's going on here, because he would have not done that to his dad. So that's not his dad. Something's up there. He also looked different too. His skin was different. But what do you guys think about this? I don't know. I'm not really convinced after this first issue as much as I was the other. The other one had a lot more lore. And look at the advertisement on the back of this comic book. Really? I was flipping through this and I was like, great. But so there's not really as much lore to that comic book as there is this one. This one had a good storyline. This one is trying to do the same thing, but I don't know. It's just, you know, it's still okay. But once you've read this one, you'll be like, oh, what is this crap? But I think it's Snyder. I think it's hard to hold up against Snyder, because he's a good writer. Then they had a good artist. So, you know, I mean, look, pretty cool. Look at that shot. The shadow knows. Ha 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 ha. But yeah, I do like the cover though. Ethan did good. But tell me, you guys, what you think about this. Are you going to be reading this? Are you reading it now? I've noticed not a lot of people are reading these stories. I'm like, these are good. You guys don't need to sleep on this just because it has a shadow in it. But tell me, you guys, what you think. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about this comic a little bit and see what's going on. I do like Professor Pig. I like that he was in this. But there are some things that bothers me a little bit about this series, the inconsistencies. But yeah. Talk to you later, guys. Underground Geek out.